To begin your pocket warmer design, you need to give me a plan. Draw something in your sketchbook, including colors. Next up, you need to break down that plan. Don't just give me a picture. What pieces do you need? I need 2 pieces for the front and back. I need a pink piece to be that frosting, and I'm going to add stitches. Also think about how you'll put this on. I'm going to applique the frosting to the brown. I'm going to use a wrap stitch around the edge. I want to take you a second to show you something. I have a stencil for you guys to use. This is, I think, maybe a 4-inch across circle. This is how big your fabric cut pieces need to be, minimum. You might think, well, I don't want my pocket warmer being that fat, but here's what happens. Here's an example of this project I did many years ago. Using this same circle, it came out this size. Let's look at that so it's flat. Notice how much smaller it actually becomes as you add dimension to this and we fill it. So even though it seems this wide at first, by the time you add stitches, fill it up, it gets thicker, they come out about this size. So at least 4 inches for whatever original shape you want to start with. When you are cutting shapes, so some of them might be really small shapes depending on your design, don't go ahead and cut them right out of the middle of a piece of fabric. All you've left is small scraps for everyone else to use. Try to place or cut from the edge of your fabric. So pushing that up to that corner means that I've left a much bigger piece for the next person to use. Next, we want to hide any of these black marker lines or any marker lines that you have really. So as I plan ahead for my sewing, I'm going to make sure that this side with the marker showing is going to be hidden. So I would flip that face down. This will be the back side, so I'll pick it up. So I'm just thinking ahead here that this is how I will sew these 2 pieces together so that that doesn't show. On my little piece of icing here for this donut, again, I see some black markers. So when I applique it onto my fabric, I'm going to flip it so that that side is face down and I see a nice clean piece of fabric on the top. Next up, I'm going to set the back side aside. I don't need that for a while, let's just make sure we don't lose it. Your step after cutting all your pieces out and you have your plan is to sew, is to applique a design onto this. So my applique is to add the pink frosting piece to that donut circle. Applique is required for this project. You have to have applique and you need to show me other stitches. You need to add a design with stitches. Remember, as you start to applique, you want to push your needle through from the back side. You want that tail on the back, not showing on the front. I am using a running stitch to applique the pink frosting on. You may use any style of stitch you like. You may also use any style of thread. I chose pink that matched the frosting because I didn't want it to show. You could use a contrasting stitching if you prefer. When I was done stitching, I made sure to tie my knot on the back side where it won't show. You must add some sort of stitching to create a design on your pocket warmer. For me, I was adding blue sprinkles on top of my donut. You may use any type of stitching you want to create that design. When I ran out of thread, I left the tail hanging on the back side. I then thread my needle with a new string, and I began sewing as if I had never run out. After I threw a stitch in there, I stop, and I take the 2 tails that are next to each other and I tied a knot. That allows me to make a nice snug knot, and then I just continue sewing and the knot never shows. It's on the back side. When all my design is finished on the front, I take the back side and I need to attach it. I chose to use the whip stitch or the wrap stitch, and I'm going to sew almost all the way around the circle. It's very important that as you're sewing around the circle, you're using very small stitching. Large stitches will allow the rice to slip right through. Leave that 2-inch gap. You need to use something like a funnel to pour the rice in and make sure it's really full of rice. Get as much in there as you can. It sort of sinks and compresses. Then you need to finish your stitching while you don't let that rice fall out all the way around. This is probably the most important time for you to do a proper knot. Otherwise, if it comes undone, all the rice will start falling out. Make sure that you take your 2 tails, you cross them just like you're starting to tie your shoes. Pull tight. Then you want to cross the opposite way and pull tight like you're tying your shoes. This is technically called a square knot if you do it properly, and it should not